All right, today's topic is about adding and subtracting polynomials, okay? Now, before we get to the actual adding and subtracting, first thing we have to do is learn some terms, okay? Now, there's a few terms you're going to be working with, and then it's going to talk to you about. There's going to be monomial, binomial, trinomial, polynomial. Okay, so I'll just give you some examples of each one so you know what they look like. So a monomial is basically any term or anything. This is it's just one term. Okay. So for example, an example of that could be 5. Another example could be 3x or 2x to the third power. Okay, these are all just one term. It's one thing. Okay, there's no addition or subtraction. There's nothing being done to any of these things. It's just one term. Remember, mono, right? One. All right, so it's just one thing here. Okay, so when it says monomial, this means one term. Okay, a binomial. Okay, when we look at binomial means there's two terms. Okay, so for example, that could be like 2x plus 3, or it could be 6x squared plus 5x, or it could be x to the third minus 4. Okay, there's two terms. Okay, there's some kind of sign in the middle of it that shows you these things. Okay, there's always a sign. Oops. There's always a sign in between these things to show you that there's two terms, right? There's this one, 6x squared, 5x, x to the third, 4. Okay, these are two different terms. Okay. Trinomial is, you guessed it, 3 terms. So, for example, it'll be something like x squared plus 4x minus 5. There's 3 terms, right? There's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 terms. Or it could be 4x to the third minus 2x squared plus 3. Okay, there's 3. It's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 terms, okay? So that's the trinomial. So monomial is one term. Binomial is 2 terms. Trinomial is 3 terms. Okay. Now, polynomial is really just is either of these two here, right? It's anything of more than one, right? So polynomial could mean, either of these 3 here could be polynomial. Okay, so it's anything more than one term is a polynomial, right? Poly is more than one. Okay, so it could be binomial, it could be trinomial, it could be whatever. It's just more than one. Okay, so those are some terms to know for what we're going to be doing next. Okay. Now, next we have to do is talk about degrees of these terms. Okay, so a degree of a polynomial is basically, it has to deal with the exponents of the letters. Okay, so for example, let me give you a term. Okay, so let's give you a monomial. So let's give you 5x. Okay, so if we're doing this, okay, our degree is always whatever the exponents are of the letters, whatever they add up to be. Okay, so for example, your degree, okay, if you have a letter right here in x, your exponent is always what? It's always, if it's by itself, it's always going to be 1. Okay, so if your exponent is 1 here, and that's the only thing you have, then your degree, all right, your degree is 1. Okay, it's really that simple. What if you have this? If you have 3x to the third, okay, what's your degree there? Well, remember, you're only looking at the numbers, the variables, or sorry, you only look at the exponents attached to the letter. Okay, So if your letter is 3 and that, or your number is 3 and that's the only letter you have here, then your degree is 3. Okay. Now what about if you just have a number? Let's just say 10. Okay. So if you have a number, and there's no letter, okay, then your degree, since there's no letter, is 0. Okay. So only looking at the exponents of the letters, all we're looking at, okay? So what about, so then if you have y to the second, then your degree is 2, okay? All right. Now let's add some more letters in there. Let's say you have x squared y to the third, okay? So anytime you have 2 letters, okay, you're still looking at the exponents of these 2 letters. So your degree, when you have multiple letters and with exponents, what you have to do is add the exponents, okay? So what you're doing is you're doing 2 plus 3, okay? So add the exponents. So your degree would be 2 plus 3, which is 5. Okay, add in the exponents. Okay. What if you had 4x to the third, 3y, 4x to the third, y to the fifth, okay? So you have that. Once again, you're only looking at your exponents of the letters. So you look at letters, you have x and y. Your exponents are 3 and 5. So to find the degree, all you have to do is add them up and you have 8. Okay, all we did with these, 3 plus 5, and we got 8. Okay, that's all there is to it. Only looking at the exponents of our variables here. Okay, that's all we're doing, and we're adding them up if we have more than one. Okay. What if we have this? 10 m to the fourth n, and then p to the seventh. Okay. So what are we doing here? Adding the exponents, right? Remember, we're only looking at the exponents of the letters. We're not looking at this big number here, okay? So we're not looking at that. We're only looking at the exponents of each letter, okay? We're adding those up. So what are our exponents? Well, we have 4. We have an n by itself. So remember, if it's n by itself, our exponent is 1 and then 7. So what do we do with these numbers? We add them up. 4 plus 1 plus 7. And when you do that, your answer is 12. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so you're just adding up the exponents involved, the letters. Okay. Now, you're gonna get questions which are gonna ask you what the degree of the polynomial is. Okay, and how to find that is it's gonna be the highest. When you add your exponents up, it's gonna be your highest number. Okay, of the term. Okay, whatever number it is, it's higher. So let me give you an example. It sounds confusing. Okay. So let's say I give you a term, or I give you a polynomial. Let's just go with 5x to the third plus 3x. Okay. So we have 2 terms here. We have 5x to the third, and then we have 3x. Okay, so we have 2 terms here. Now, our first term, what's our degree of our first term? Remember, we're looking at the exponent of the variable of this term, okay? Our first term is 5x to the third. So our variable is 3, which means our term, or our degree here is 3, okay? That's confusing, I shouldn't write that. So our degree here is 3. All right, now look at this one here. Our next term is 3x. So looking at the letter, we have x. Remember, if it's by itself, our degree is 1. Okay, our exponent is 1. If our exponent is 1, the ones that make our degree for this term, it makes it 1, okay? So we have 3 here and 1 here. Which one's bigger? Well, this one is. So our degree, ultimately, is 3. It's the higher one. Okay, and that's our answer. Okay, we're gonna make it be degree is 3. Okay, that's really all there is to it. Okay, we're just looking at exponents of letters. So which one is higher? Okay, whichever one is higher, that's the degree. Whatever that number is, that's the degree the whole thing is. Okay. Let's give you another one. Let's give you 2x to the third, y to the fourth, minus 4x to the second, y to the seventh. Okay. Now, once again, we're only looking at the exponents, and we're only looking at the exponents of our variables. So once again, we have two terms. Okay. We have our 2x to the third, y to the fourth, and then we have our 4x squared, y to the seventh. Now remember, not looking at the numbers, okay? Not looking at numbers here, not looking at the numbers here, only looking at our variables and the letters, okay? Oh, sorry, our variables and our exponents, okay? So our first term right here, we have an exponent of 3, and an exponent of 4, okay? So if we have, so what we do, we add these two up. So 3 plus 4, and our number here is 7, okay? So that's our degree for our first term, 7. We just added the exponents, 3 plus 4. If you look at this one here, we have x squared, y to the 7th. So we have our terms here, 2, and we add them up, plus 7, and that equals 9, okay? Now, to find our degree of the whole thing, which one's higher, 7 or 9? Well, 9. So our degree for the whole thing is 9. Okay, that's our higher number. It doesn't matter that second. Okay, it doesn't matter that's this term here, not the first one. It's the higher number. 7, when you add the exponents, it's 9. More than 7, that's our degree of the whole polynomial. Okay. Let's do one more. Let's do 7x to the third, y to the fifth, z to the ninth, minus 4x to the second, y, z to the fifth, plus 8x to the fourth, y to the second, z. Okay. So once again, we are looking at our exponents of our variables. Okay. So we have 3 terms here. Okay. We have 1, 2, 3. Okay. So if we look at our first term, okay, 7x to the third, y to the fifth, x to the ninth. So what do? We add up the exponents, okay? 3 plus 5 plus 9. When you add these up, 3 plus 5 plus 9, your total is going to be 17. Okay, and that's, 17. Okay, and that's our total for the first term. Second term, we have 2. Remember, if it's by itself, it's 1. So 2 plus 1 plus 5. Add those up, we have 8. Our third one, we have 4 plus 2 here, and then remember it's 1 plus 1, and we have 7. So if we look at the highest one, we have 17, 8, and 7. Our degree for this whole thing is our highest number, which is 17, okay? So I know it's a lot. It could be kind of confusing. It's not, don't make it harder than it is. You're really just looking at your exponents when you're trying to find a degree of what something is, looking at the exponents and adding them up, okay? And that's how you're trying to solve for degrees of these things, okay? So this is we're not doing any of the math yet. We're not doing any of the adding and subtracting yet. We're just looking at our finding what degree things are, okay? Next video we'll have how to actually add and subtract polynomials.